We are live.
Welcome, Wartime MMA Podcast. It is your hosts, Alex, Tony, and Mike. Today we have a whole bunch of mid to get through until the main event. But if y'all bear through with us, we're going to give you the best predictions that we can on each fight. See how many clean sweeps we get, see how many decisive picks we got. I think today will be a relatively divisive day, I have a feeling.
I haven't really done research on this shit either. So if I look like a casual today, bear with me. It's just been a very slow start. Been more... Honestly, I know the promos have been asked, but I've been more researching on the pay-per-view than fucking this week.
Yeah, I feel you. A lot of debuting fighters on this card.
Yeah.
Well, that'll be interesting. A lot of debuts to watch.
Should be fun.
Without further ado, y'all ready to move into the first fight of the night?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
You want to start it off?
Yeah, you can start it off.
All right. Yeah, the first fight of the night is a heavyweight between two debuting guys, between Alicia Ellison and Brando Pericic. This is one I kind of had to do a little bit of research for, just because I have no idea who either of these guys are, so I have nothing to go off, regardless. But I did seem to see that Alicia Ellison kind of seems like he's a good, athletic MMA fighter from America. He seems like a heavyweight that isn't fat, he's athletic, and he can grapple and strike. I think he, by himself, is a good signing. He's kind of like an athletic heavyweight. And on the other side, you have Brando Pericic, who's kind of similar. He's an athletic heavyweight. He does have a little bit more of the a belly. The way he moves is honestly pretty damn fast. The way he strikes, it gives me Mirko Krokop vibes. The name Pericic makes me think he's probably Croatian as well. So just the way he throws his kicks up and the way he strikes reminds me a lot of Mirko. And I think if I do the eye test, because their records are like pretty much the exact same too. I think one of them's 4-1 and the other one's like 5-1. Like they almost have the exact same record, and they're fighting almost the same type of guys, bums. And they each have one loss to a guy who's like somewhat okay. So it like you can't really do much off their record, but just the eye test. Like I like Pericic's kicks. He's a grappling game as well. I've seen him pound out some guys in like a back flat and mount. So he can definitely kind of grapple, even though he's a kickboxer. And if I'm looking at two guys at heavyweight that are relatively athletic, which good on the UFC for getting us some non-fat heavyweights, I'm going to look at just kind of who I think has the better delivery system for the knockout blow, and I think that's Pericic. I think he's a CKB guy. He's kind of got that nice range management for a CKB fighter. And I think that's just kind of what tips the edge in his favor on my cards. I think he's a little bit more technical. I think he's got more tools in his toolbox. But Alicia Ellison's still good. I'm happy they signed him as well. Just a little bit more of an MMA-style striking with Ellison and kind of sloppier punches, whereas I feel like Pericic really has a very solid kicking game, which I think is pretty rare at heavyweight. So I'm going to go Pericic, kicking low, kicking high, eventually gets the TKO in the first 2 rounds. But I think Ellison gives us a good scrap and gives us a pretty good opening fight of the card between two debuting athletic heavyweights. So yeah, I'm going to go Pericic, TKO. I'm going to say the end of round 1. I'm going to say we're going to get a good round 1 scrap, then Pericic kind of chops him down and gets the shot. Pericic, TKO, end of round 1.
Yeah, I'm gonna piggyback off of what Alex said. I don't really know too much about the other two, but I have seen a little bit. I'm looking at a little bit of this dude's striking the other dude. He looks pretty good, but you know what? Psych. I'm gonna psych that out. I'm gonna go with Aisha, bro. I'm gonna go with the more athletic dude. Like normally that's the ones that win most of the fights. And yeah, I'm gonna switch my pick here. I'm gonna go with Aisha. I think he's gonna win by TKO. Second round TKO for the Aisha dude. Alicia, my bad.
Tough fight to say. Both these guys are relatively
somewhat green, you could say, despite their ages and their careers. One's 4-1, the other one's 5-1. You know, they really haven't had too many experience. Both have both have suffered a loss and defeat. I think they both got submitted. That's how they both lost. So they both seem to be competent on the feet. Decent athleticism for heavyweight, as Alex alluded to. But we're in Australia. I think the Australian card kicks off in the right direction with Perisic. I could see a decision and I could see a knockout. I think both these guys, their only loss, if I'm not mistaken, is both by submission. So I kind of think this fight plays out more on the feet more often than not. Maybe one of them decides to mix in the grappling. If I had to guess which one would attempt to do it, I would imagine it'd be the Alicia side. I imagine that Perisic, having trained in city kickboxing, he's going to want to keep the range, and he's 6'5", not a small guy. He's got the kickboxing background. I think he can win a decision or get a TKO. I think I'll go with a decision win where Perisic is able to display better range management, land the better shots, but Alicia will be a scrappy guy and he won't go away. He'll be tough enough to make it through 15 minutes, but I think Perisic would have won 2 rounds via better striking and better point fighting. So I'm going to go with a Perisic win by decision.
Moving on to our next fight of the card. One of the few women's MMA fights on the card. Michelle Montague, who's debuting. She's from Australia or New Zealand, versus Luana Carolina. This is tough. Michelle Montague's undefeated, I believe. I saw she's coming over from the PFL. She's a pretty decent fighter, 6-0. She's a grappler first, kind of like a jiu-jitsu girl. Luana Carolina honestly deals with that style pretty well. I do want to pick Montague here because I do feel like it can wind up being a close fight like a lot of women's fights are. And her being a debuting girl from the Anzac region, I could see her getting the nod. But truthfully, Luana Carolina deals with grapplers pretty well. And, you know, not to say she's dealing with the best grapplers, like a Julia Stoliarenko is, you know, decent jiu-jitsu, but really nothing else, and kind of is just an armbar hunter. And if you can deal with that, that's all. Michelle Montague seems to favor the rear naked choke over most submissions. I do think that's like if I'm going to pick you to win based on having like a submission that you favor, I do like the rear naked choke because the rear naked choke kind of doubles with back control, which is control time, which is hard to escape. So I do prefer that rather than if you're like an armbar bitch or something like that. But I think I'm going to slightly go Montague. I kind of want to pick her. I think it will wind up being close. I do think she can get control time, and in a fight like this, I do think they'll favor the undefeated Anzac girl in this region. A bit of a Tony pick, Tony, what do you call it, justification, but I do think this fight will be close, and I think they'll favor Montague if it gets there. So I'm going to go Montague's decision.
Nothing really to say. They're fucking women. So I'm going to go with the Australian bitch by decision. I think she's going to get it done. I know I sound casual here and, this and that, but I honestly don't give a fuck about this fight. I know this bitch is undefeated. That's promotable. And she's Australian. That's promotable. She's somewhat hot on the Tapology photo. So I guess that's promotable. She's not really that pretty. She's actually kind of fucking ugly, but more prettier than Luana, I guess. But yeah, I guess what it is. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Australian bitch by decision.
I think this is looking like potentially the first clean sweep of the card. Luana Carolina, 11-4. Losses coming, 3 of them at a UFC level. A split decision loss to Joanne Calderwood. Molly McCann, the infamous win with the spinning elbow, as we all remember, where she got the belt. And she actually had a knee bar at Ariane Lipski. So, you know, not the worst losses in the world for Luana Carolina. Not bad. I mean, Lipski's had a little bit of a resurgence. Molly McCann, she's the meatball. She's explosive on the feet. And Joanne Calderwood was able to edge out a close decision using her veteran savvy. But from a grappling perspective, I'd like to think that, and I'll be honest, I haven't watched any of Michelle Montague, but just going off of what I'm hearing and she's undefeated, what I'm hearing about her, I'd like to think she could be more successful in the grappling exchanges than an Ariane Lipski, a Molly McCann, a Joanne Calderwood. I'd like to think that that's more of an avenue where she can win the fight and win minutes. Even if she's not necessarily getting the finish, I could still see her getting top control and winning minutes and time. So I'm going to go with a Michelle Montague decision win, where she's threatening submissions throughout the entirety of the fight. She's able to get takedowns. She's able to get near dominant positions and just rack up top control time and submission attempts. But I think Luana Carolina will do a good job of tucking her chin, not giving up her arm for an armbar, or not giving up her leg for a leg lock. I'd like to think that she'll stay relatively safe on the ground, but still won't be enough to stop Montague from imposing her game on her. So I have a grappling showcase decision win for Montague in her UFC debut, and still undefeated.
All right, moving on to our next fight of the card. Jamie Malarkey versus Rolando Bedoya. Loser gets cut, in my opinion. Both guys aren't very good. I've seen Jamie Malarkey get fucked up over and over again. It's hard for me to pick him. I'm going to be real. Like, somebody like that, you just watch him die so many times. It's like, how can you even pick him to live? You know, so even if it's like you're fighting somebody like Bedoya, I don't see a lot of danger or upside in that general direction of Bedoya either, but he has I was going to say, like, it's an upside. Like, he almost beat Chaos Williams, but Chaos Williams, shit. And Bedoya is, like, a rightful lightweight, and lighter man skill probably just got the better of Chaos, even though they gave Chaos the win. I really don't see anything in Jamie Malarkey's game that makes me want to pick him, though. Like I said, like, I've just seen him get fucked up so many times. It's hard for me to pick him. Bedoya, I feel like, usually loses pretty close. At least he did to Chaos, and Jai Herbert, I think, was his other loss. He got fucked up pretty good. But Jai Herbert's honestly pretty good. He's long, he's rangy, and if you're not like somebody who can close the distance and KO him or out-grapple him, he's going to beat you usually. In this fight, it's going to be mostly striking. I honestly am going to have to pick Bedoya here because I just cannot pick Malarkey. Like, I don't care that you train with the Volk. Like, that isn't going to be enough for me anymore. Like, I've used that reason before with him, and it doesn't work out. You know, it's like that old Shevchenko sister. Like, just because Valentina is your sister doesn't mean you're any good. You know, so it's like, you might train with Volk, that doesn't mean you are Volk. You know, I've seen him be ass so many times. I don't know how he's still here. I think it's just because, like, his last couple losses have been against decent people. Like, Mauricio Rufy KO'd him, and I want to say there was a couple other guys that had, that were pretty noteworthy that knocked him out. Arguably, he lost to Michael Johnson. He got knocked out by Nasrat, which doesn't look that bad. Muhammad Naimov isn't a terrible fighter. But I'll be honest, I just got to go with Bedoya. I think he's just more tactical. I think Malarkey's retarded. He's just going to be throwing a lot of Malarkey out there, and that's going to be that. He's going to get countered. He's going to get pieced up. I don't see him as a particularly dangerous fighter either. For being as, like, aggressive and stupid as he fights, he really doesn't have a lot of danger to him either. I'm going to go Bedoya by decision. Fuck Jamie Malarkey.
My mic is on. Okay, good. My mic was muted. But, yeah, I'm pretty much going to agree with Alex on that. I can never pick Jamie Malarkey to win a fight in Big 20. I can definitely not pick him in Big 2025. Hell fucking no. I know he was on a little run and this and that, but his runs were not that good. Like, they were decent in the beginning, but nowhere good after, like, what I've just been seeing him recently. Like, he's just been Malarkey. Just ass. I don't know. I can't trust his defense. Definitely can't trust his chin. He rarely fights. And anytime he does fight, he just ends up getting fucking facialized in front of his fucking countrymen. So, fuck him. I'm going with the other dude. KO, second or first.
Interesting fight in the lightweight division. Jamie Malarkey, 17-8. Funny enough, he started training with Alexander Volkanovski, I think, after Alexander Volkanovski knocked him out. And I think that's what made him go train with him. But I'll be honest, man. Jay Malarkey, like, yes, he's not a world beater. We very much know that. Like, he's kind of a punching bag. Let's just be blunt about it. But I'm looking at who he's fighting in the UFC. I mean, this is tough, man. He's got Brad Riddell, Faris Ziam, Jalen Turner, Muhammad Naimov. These are just his losses, by the way. Nasrat Haqparast, Mauricio Rufy. This is tough, man. It's not easy to go out there against these names, I'll be honest. But that being said,
Riddell's not a good win anymore.
Say again.
Brad Riddell's not a good win anymore.
Oh, that was a loss.
I mean, good loss.
Yeah. No, I hear what you're saying. Yeah, but still, like, you know, these are names at 155. Like, you know, regardless of how we feel about Malarkey, and you know, he's not small for 155. He has decent reach. His striking's not the worst striking I've seen in the world, but his defense isn't good, and his durability has always been a main concern for me in his fights. He gets knocked out a lot. As for Rolando Bedoya, you know, I think he's kind of the opposite. I think that he's not necessarily special, but I definitely trust his durability for sure more than Jamie Malarkey's. If I had to, like, pick and bet my money on it, who could take a punch like right on the chin and keep it moving or get back up at least, I'd pick Bedoya over Malarkey right now. I don't trust Jamie's durability. I think Bedoya's got a very, like, decisive edge and durability in this fight. If it turns into a war, I think that favors Bedoya. If it's a technical kind of tit for tat fight, I think Bedoya can match the volume and the output. And something I really like for Bedoya in this fight is his reach. He's like 5'11" with 75 reach. Malarkey's like maybe 6 foot with like 74 reach. So I don't think there's going to be a decisive size advantage for Malarkey in this one, the range. I feel like Bedoya will be able to box with him no problem. And, you know, just as a reference, if I look at like the last time both these guys were in a close decision scenario, Malarkey, I felt, did not deserve to beat Michael Johnson. I thought Michael Johnson won that fight. And as for Bedoya, you know, you could say Chaos Williams won, but I'm of the mindset that I thought Bedoya did enough in that fight to potentially get his hand raised. But nonetheless, for this specific matchup, I just don't see Malarkey putting him away. And if he doesn't put him away, I just feel like Bedoya, the longer the fight goes, will be able to close distance better, will be able to land shots of his own, and yeah, truthfully, I just think the durability is so decisive in this fight that even if things aren't going Bedoya's way in round one, I feel like he can weather the storm and eventually push back and lead to breaking Malarkey late. So I'm actually going to go with a third round TKO and a scrap. I think Malarkey knows his back's against the wall in the UFC. I feel like he needs to make a statement in his home of Australia, and I feel like he's going to die on a shield. And I think Bedoya, he understands the urgency of this matchup. This is an opportunity in a hostile territory to prove that I can get the job done, and I think he's going to do that. I'm going to go to third round TKO where Malarkey wins the first round, but Bedoya wins the second, and then Bedoya breaks him in the third. Fun fight. They'll be scrapping in this one. I think that's a clean sweep, though. I think we all picked Bedoya.
Indeed. That is another clean sweep for the books.
That's the first Australian I'm going against on this card.
Yeah, so far, I'm 2-1 on Australians.
Yeah.
I think Montague's, what's her name? New Zealand. But for the sake of the video,
Yeah.
and Zach, New Zealand is a part of Australia.
Yeah.
But moving on to our next fight, a pretty good fight, even though it's pretty low ranked. Colby Thickness versus Josias Musasa.
Yeah.
Two guys who, in my opinion, do have potential in both of their rights. I think Colby Thickness is the more experienced guy, whereas Josias is more physical and green. Whereas Thickness is more of a, I don't want to call him frail, but not as jacked and physical as Musasa, at least. But he's got the experience. He's far left green. He's the guy that actually trains with Volk, and you can kind of see it. You know what I mean? Like, he mixes the martial arts. Like, he doesn't look completely retarded out there, like, you know, Jamie Malarkey does, or other people. So when I look at Colby Thickness, 7-1, his one loss is to Topuria. That's not bad. You know, the Topurias really aren't that bad. Josias Musasa, pretty much same record, 8-1. Whereas that one loss isn't as justifiable, in my opinion, than losing to Alexander Topuria. Because even though Alexander Topuria did beat him pretty dominantly, I honestly think Colby Thickness made a good account for himself. I thought he looked good in that fight. I thought, even Topuria had him pretty much outmatched at every turn. He still showed that he could compete with a guy like that. So I did count for that. Whereas Carlos Vera, we know he's ass. We know he's old. We know he's a bum. And you get wheel kicked by him and subbed in a round. That kind of really took the wind out from Musasa's sails. That being said, on paper, Musasa can KO Thickness. Thickness has been dropped a lot in his amateur career by guys like Musasa. Physical guys that can find the shot and drop him. And, I feel like it's kind of one of those things, like if you have a bad chin or if you get dropped a lot, you usually got pretty good recovery. And, even though that Musasa fact almost made me switch, because I think Musasa can drop Colby. And I think Colby's there to be dropped in some ways. Every single fight where Colby Thickness does get dropped in the amateur scene, he gets back up and he wins the fight. And I honestly value that more than I do Musasa probably dropping him. Because we've seen Colby Thickness come back over and over again where he gets dropped bad sometimes and still comes back to win the next 2 rounds or get a finish in his own right. I think he definitely has the grappling advantage here. I think he's more technical. He's more experienced. I think he can make this a dogfight more so than people might want to think. Because Josias Musasa is tough and he hits hard and he is experienced, or talented, I should say. And he's just raw strength and ability. But I don't think he's got the experience. I don't know if he knows what to do when he's in there with somebody like Colby Thickness who can mix the martial arts as well as he does. Somebody who's got experience. Somebody who fights with more IQ. And man, I don't mind losing to Alexander Topuria. I mind losing to Carlos Vera. So that's a big part of it as well. But man, Colby Thickness is tough. He's beaten these power punchers before, even when he's dropped. And I'm going to pick him to do so, in his home country. So Colby Thickness, I'm going to say submission or decision. I'm going to say decision 29-28. Gets dropped in the first round and wins the next 2. Colby Thickness decision. Unanimous.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Alex. You're getting knocked out by a fruitcake like Carlos Vera, you're automatically I don't look at you anyway. Carlos Vera is a cum dumpster when it comes to fucking pulling guard. I fucking hate that dude. I hate that fucking style. It's so fucking flamboyant. Fight like a fucking man, you queer. Anyways, enough of that. Enough of me ranting about Carlos Vera. Yeah, I'm going with Colby Thickness. I don't mind like Alex alluded to. Nothing wrong with losing to Topuria. I mean, unless if he loses to fucking like Ricky Tercios in his next fight or some shit, then then we'll start to throw in some exclamation points. But nothing really bad to lose to Alexander Topuria. He's a good fighter. Losing to Carlos Vera, ass. I actually was very confident. I even fuck around and thought that was going to be my lock of the card, pretty much, damn near, like a death for Carlos Vera, but motherfucker ended up Edson Barbosaing him, even though he fucking pulls guard like a. All right, enough, Mike. We're filming, man. Come on now. All right, I got Thickness. I think he's gonna win by decision. I could see him finishing him too, though. I could definitely see, like how Alex said. That's kind of why I'm thinking. Like, I do think it's gonna be a banger fight, and motherfucker's gonna let out his inner Rocky and just start eating punches, and then just start making it a dog fight. And I just don't look at you as a man if you're losing to a Carlos Vera. That's horrible. I don't see you as a man. I see you more of like a woman. I ended off with that.
Fantastic fight in the bantamweight division, man. As soon as I saw this one booked, I was like, wow, this is a scrap. This is a fantastic fight, man. Both these guys have under 10 pro fights, but, man, they're both really good in their own rights. Colby Thickness, 8-1, coming off a decision loss to Ilya's brother, Alexandre. But, nonetheless, he showed that he's game. He showed that he can compete in a lot of areas. His striking didn't look bad. His range, his footwork, just his overall movement, his grappling. He looks like a very capable fighter in MMA. As for Josias Musasa, coming off the Contender Series upset against an undefeated Georgian fighter who had Merab Dvalishvili in his quarter in that Contender Series fight. That was a very close split decision win that got Josias Musasa into the UFC, and he was a tremendous favorite over his last opponent, Carlos Vea, who was the prospect, quote-unquote, on The Ultimate Fighter. The season it was Chandler and McGregor, and he was on Team McGregor. He lost in the UFC to Nakamura, but he pulled off an incredible upset against Musasa. He literally won like the only way I thought possible he could. Fucking a head kick into a submission. Like, he literally hit the picture-perfect, most improbable way to win the fight. He did it in the first round. It was insane. And my only critique, obviously, aside from the loss from Musasa, was I just felt like he went about the fight a little wrong. I felt like he gave too much kicking distance for Vea, knowing he has a Taekwondo karate background. And he just gave him too much room to throw the kick. I would have crowded him. I thought purely hands and boxing. I thought Musasa had a clear, distinct advantage in that fight, and he didn't capitalize on it. And he ended up paying the ultimate price. He got head kicked into a submission. And I'm actually very big on Josias Musasa. I believe he came from Kamaru Usman's regional MMA scene in Africa, and he was the knockout wizard, as they called him. And I'm very hyped on him. It's unfortunate what happened to him in his UFC debut. I do think jitters were a factor. Usually, like back in the day, I didn't really believe into that. I didn't really think fighters really get the jitters and like their deer in headlights in their debut, but man, it's a real thing. It's a real thing in any sport now that I think about it. I don't know why I thought it wasn't a real thing in MMA, but that was me being naive. That's a real thing in sports. When you go to the professional level of the sport that you competed and trained for essentially your whole life to have a career, there's a legitimate pressure mentally for the fighter, and I felt like Musasa fell prey to that. Colby Thickness, I thought, had an uphill battle in his debut, but he looked more cognizant, more aware of the moment, more game to fight, and he didn't really get caught as blindsided as Musasa did. But all that being said, I've been yapping for the last couple minutes. Going to the actual fight, I'm going to go with my boy Musasa on this one. I think athletically, he's superior to Colby Thickness. I think power, he's superior to Colby Thickness. I think the advantages that Colby has in this fight is the technicality. I think he's the better wrestler. He's the better jiu-jitsu fighter. He's probably the more technical striker. But I see a lot of raw potential in Josias Musasa, man. I see an athlete that really can do a lot of things. His knockout power in the bantamweight division is a real thing. His takedown defense, I think, is amazing. If you watched his Contender Series fight against that Georgian guy, he defended a multitude of takedowns. And I think that Georgian guy is good enough to compete in the UFC as well. I think he should get signed, or at least a Contender Series second chance. I'm going to go with Josias Musasa in a decision win where he's able to get a knockdown. He's able to, throughout the entirety of the fight, just look like he's the one more willing to finish the fight. His forward presence, his boxing pressure, I think he'll be able to mix in the calf kick when he needs to, defend all of Colby Thickness's takedowns. I think Musasa doesn't want to entertain any of the grappling exchanges or the jiu-jitsu in this fight. I feel like he'll be very aware of the takedowns, and that might even open up some kicking opportunities for Thickness, but I think Musasa is going to do what he didn't do in the Vea fight, and I think he's going to smother Colby. I think he's going to take away range for him to kind of move around, and he's going to make this a pressure-heavy fight. And I think he'll either get an early knockout, or he would have done enough in the first two rounds to coast off or rally from Colby in the third. I'm going to go with a decision win for Josias Musasa, where he drops Colby early, and it's enough where Colby didn't do enough in the third round to steal it back. Great fight, though, in the bantamweight division.
Yeah, it is. It's a great fight. It's also a tough one to call. I don't mind your reasoning for picking Musasa.
Yeah, I think the odds.
Yeah, I don't mind it either, but losing to fucking Carlos Vera is horrible.
I think he proved in this fight that was a fluke. Because that was literally the only way I felt Vea had a chance in that fight. He has to head kick him into his sub type shit. Like, on paper, Musasa had, like, virtually every other advantage outside of kicking and jiu-jitsu.
Nah, bro. Best chance was to fucking smother that nigga and just pull guard at range.
Yeah, I felt like, aside from kicking and jiu-jitsu, Musasa was better everywhere, on paper.
I don't like Carlos Vera. I think he's fucking ass.
Yeah. I don't blame him. He's definitely deserving of critiques, for sure. And he's the more quote-unquote wild fighter, but I think the odds are kind of telling in this fight, too. We've seen Thickness go to not close, but like go to the distance with Tapuria. He's really good. He's trained by Volk. Why is he a home underdog in Australia to a guy who just got head kick subbed by Carlos Vea? Wouldn't he be the favorite? That's kind of telling to me.
Yeah, it would. But, I don't know. Musasa is good in his own right.
I like Musasa, man. I just kind of think it was like the jitters and low-key a fluke. Call me a hater, and I'm Ecuadorian. Sorry, Carlos Vea. Like, you literally got, like, gifted that fuck. Not gifted, but you got a great head kick, and you subbed him. You did your
Fuck
job.
you, Carlos Vera. You're a fucking queer.
Did what you had to do, but run that fight back, like, 9 more times. I think Musasa wins a lot more. I'm just saying.
I hope.
That fight, like, if Carlos Vera is somehow still in the UFC in 2 to 3 years, you do the rematch. Because I'm not, like, we can't let that be the way Musasa goes out.
I agree.
If Musasa, like, she winds up, like, beating Thickness and beating a
But if he loses the Thickness, cut that motherfucker.
Yeah.
You need Africans, but yeah.
The dude he beat on Contender Series, I think that guy smokes Vea, too. That guy's really good.
Vera's just shit. He's just shit.
Yeah, he is.
How the fuck get kicked? A soccer dad has more opportunities of knocking out fucking people. Carlos Vera.
Alright, let's keep it moving to the next.
Anyway, yeah, we gotta hurry.
Cut some of that.
Yeah, it's 8 o'clock.
Yeah, you're gonna have to cut some of that out. I said nigga.
You're good. I'll edit it back.
I've ranted a lot too. You can add in the parts
Just
that
after you finish your prediction, Tony, you just cut it out.
Yeah.
Moving on to our next fight, middleweight between Andre Petroski versus Cam Rouston. Now, when I saw Cam Rouston fighting in the UFC and fighting in the Contender Series again this year, my immediate thought is like, Torres Finney victim. Torres Finney victim. I don't like that. And, you know, he wasn't the only one. Like, that Russian dude, he showed up. I forgot who else Torres Finney beat, but there's, like, a bunch of random people. Like, the Torres Finney victims getting second chances after losing to Torres Finney. I don't get it. Yeah, I'm saying, like, in the Contender Series, because he had 3 fights in the Contender Series, Torres Finney. Austin was... Afarov was one of them, and then there was another one. But regardless, Cam Rouston, apparently people are saying like he's like one of the more well-rounded guys at CKB, even though he got raped by Torres Finney. But I'll be honest, like Torres Finney, he's kind of like just a smudge. Like he doesn't really want to like submit you or ground and pound you. He just wants to smudge you, and like to some degree, like that's all he'll do. Petroski will strike with you a little bit. You know what I mean? Petroski will probably strike with you for about a minute before he shoots a takedown. On paper, Petroski's the better grappler than, I almost said Musasa. Torres Finney is, but like he's got no cardio, whereas Torres Finney's whole game is like the repetition of the takedowns and having cardio. And he's pretty strong too, whereas Petroski, like, he gasses after 2 rounds, like, often, especially if he has success. Like, if he's, like, having a pitter-pat fight, maybe he can go into 3 rounds relatively okay, but if he's, like, having his will, Petroski, that is, he gasses out. Like, if he wins the first 2 rounds, he'll be bad. He'll lose the 3rd. So, I to some degree, like, I think that cardio hurts him, because I think Rouston does have some cardio himself. Rouston's a big guy. He's got knees. He's got a lot of different striking angles he can take on Petroski. He's a big guy for middleweight. He's like 6'3", a big 6'3", and kind of fights like Dan Hooker in a lot of ways. Just kind of like the way he strikes kind of reminds me of Dan Hooker. I think I'm going to pick Petroski to do well early get the takedowns. I think the first round could be close, but I think Petroski will find, a flow with the takedowns and start winning. And then I think in the third round, Petroski's going to be gassed. He's not going to be able to get the takedowns. Ralston's going to be able to get a read on him. His takedown defense is going to get a lot better in the third. And I'm going to be honest. If fucking Jacob Malkoon's hip can KO you, anything can. So I think in the third round, after he's already gassed out, knee to the body, knee to the head, back fist to the head, a poke to the eye, fucking... a jab to the body, maybe somebody's like eating some McDonald's in the fucking audience and they throw a napkin in and it hits Petroski, something like anything will KO him at that point, I think, if a hip will already do it. So I'm going to say Cam Ralston, third round TKO after losing the first two rounds, arguably. I think the first round or the second round could be maybe close, but I think Ralston's going to find a way to just finish him in the third after he starts gassing. Cam Ralston, third round TKO. Petroski. He's bitch made. He'll go down to like some weak shit. That's my prediction. He's gonna go down to some weak shit.
I know. Alex just pretty much narrowed it down. I don't really need to say much. I'm going with the Australian dude. I don't think I can ever pick Petroski. And when I did, it's literally 1 out of a million that I've ever picked fucking Petroski to win a fight. And it was the one where he got fucking knocked out with a hip. That was horrible. Yeah, pack that shit up. You're getting packed up again, buddy. Fuck Andre Petroski.
Cut him from the sport.
Cut him from the sport. Cut him from his family. Cut him from life. Tony, hurry this up, nigga. I got a game to watch.
Yeah, it's gonna be a clean sweep. I think Cam Ralston's pretty well-rounded from the City Kickboxing crew. I think Andre Petroski, he can grapple. He's a guy. His durability's always been a concern in fights. I think Alex said it best. I think third round TKO is the way to go. I expect Petroski to give his best output and his best effort in the first round, maybe even win it off control time and takedowns, submission attempts, have you, but I'd like to think Ralston's losses are to like Torres Vinny and Jacob Malkoon, who I think on paper are equivalent, if not greater, wrestlers and overall grapplers than Andre Petroski. So I feel like if Andre Petroski isn't getting the takedowns, I don't trust him to go band for band with Ralston. I think Ralston's the better striker. So I think Alex said it best. Third round TKO, Cam Ralston in the UFC debut goes successful in Perth. Better record too.
Moving on to our next fight of the night. Welterweight between Jonathan Mikulev and Oban Elliott. Tough one to call. Oban Elliott lost to that Korean guy in his last fight. I do think that Korean guy is pretty good. His judo looked really good against Oban. Mikulev has very long arms for being a welterweight, very long. And he's got a kind of like a jiu-jitsu style, I'd call him. Much more jiu-jitsu than anything else. And I could see him winning. I don't mind a Mikulev pick at all. I almost picked him. But I do think I'm going to go with Oban Elliott here. I think there's a huge difference in takedown ability from people that train judo from people that train jiu-jitsu. I think judo is far superior in takedowns, whereas jiu-jitsu is all about submissions once you are already on the ground. But I honestly am not going to trust his takedown game to like outwork Oban in this fight the same way Seokyoung Ko or whatever his name was did, because his judo like trips and hip tosses were fucking nasty. I do not think Mikulev's going to do that. I think he's going to be going for like leg drags and shitty single legs and doubles and trying to scale the back on the fence and that type of stuff. Chase Hooper shit. You know how it is. And I don't really think his takedown ability is all that. I can honestly see him trying to strike with Oban. And I could see him even maybe winning with that. He's got a decent like body kick and decent striking aim. Very long arms, like I mentioned. But I'm thinking he's not really going to be able to impose his will in the takedowns on Oban. So I think it'll be more of a striking fight. I favor Oban's boxing over, I favor Mikulev's kicks. Maybe Mikolev can still keep something out there with the hands, with his long reach to keep Oban discouraged. But I think Oban, when he's at his best, he can actually have some really slick boxing. And looking at Mikolev's loss, he has been KO'd by a bum before. I think if you can get KO'd by a bum, you can get KO'd by Oban if you fuck around on the feet too much. I picked Jusei in the first fight against him in his first career, and he impressed us. But I think Jusei's kind of cooked at this point. I think Oban's still got some. I'm going to pick Oban to win this fight. I will not trust him if he loses this fight, though. I'll be honest. I'm going to say third round KO. I'm going to go another third round KO. I'm going to say Oban catches him at some point with a hook and puts him away.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Oban Elliott as well. I like Oban. Not horrible at it. Who he lost to was not bad. That was an undefeated Asian juice to the gills man. That is not a bad loss. Yeah, he got dominated. It might look bad if the dude just ends up getting fraud checked in the future. But I'm not gonna hate. I'm not gonna sit here and write off Oban just yet. I think he's gonna get this done. I'm gonna go with a masterclass decision here. A 29-28 masterclass. I think he'll. I think Oban's gonna look to make a statement here. Nothing really else to say. We'll keep it short and simple. I got Oban Elliott by decision.
Tough fight in the welterweight division. Oban Elliott coming off a upset loss at the hands of Sung Yoku. I think I said that name right. He was good in that fight. He showed he just outmatched Oban in pretty much every facet of MMA in that fight, honestly, man. And it was really impressive to see. But aside from that, his opponent, Mikolev, coming off of a upset win, I believe, in his own right, he was the underdog against Kevin Jousset, and he actually ended up outstriking the kickboxer from CKB. And that was impressive in his own right, having the grappling background that he does. Physically, the reach, the height, those intangibles appear to be in favor of Mikolev. Grappling seems to be his advantage. But Oban Elliott, he doesn't really strike me as a guy who's particularly special in any area of MMA, but I'd like to think he can compete in a lot of facets. I think his clinch isn't bad. I think his boxing's not bad. His takedown defense, traditionally isn't as bad as it was in the Seung-ho Ko fight, or the Korean guy he was fighting. But I agree a lot with what Alex said. I think he nailed it on the head. Like, the difference between the takedown capabilities between a guy with a judo background compared to a jiu-jitsu guy, I think he's spot on with that. I think the jiu-jitsu guys often find it in MMA. The struggle is to get the fight to the ground. Their takedown game isn't as nearly faceted for MMA as like judo and sambo is. Their really emphasis is getting the takedown, securing the position, getting on top. And I feel like if Mikolev isn't able to do that and impose his will in the grappling, this is going to be a close fight. I think Alex also said it best too. I think Mikolev does have a good kicking game, but Oban Elliott, I feel like he's the type of striker that will see the openings in those body roundhouses and be willing to take it to give one. Like be able to sit down on the body kick and throw a punch and counter off that. I don't mind the third round TKO. I think Alex said third round TKO. I know he said TKO. It was third. I don't mind that. But I think this is going to be a super close fight, man. I don't mind Mike's analysis either of a masterclass decision, but I see this being a split decision win for Oban Elliott. I was very close to picking Mikolev. I really was. But I think he's going to try to really grapple more than we saw in the Kevin Jousset fight in this one. I think early on he'll realize, okay, Oban isn't as content being on the back foot as Jousset. He's actually kind of making me earn respect for him. He's like closing distance. He's actually throwing compared to Jousset was. And I feel like he's going to try to get takedowns, but he won't be that successful. And I think the strike count, the more impactful exchanges in the boxing will have been Oban, and I think that will weigh more heavily to the judges than the kicks, the takedown attempts, and the control time that Mikolev would have tried to have gotten on the fence against Oban Elliott from defending takedowns. I have a split decision win for Oban Elliott, the Welshman.
News spokesperson.
Very close fight.
Moving on to our next fight of the card. Women. Loma Luke Boone versus Alexia Thainara. Close fight. Thainara looked good in her debut against Molly McCann, but that's also Molly McCann, and then she retired right after. So it's like the least locked-in Molly McCann ever. So I'm honestly not going to put a lot of weight in that. She won on the Contender. She looked good. But I don't think it was by finish, if I remember right. I want to say she won by decision on the Contender and then submitted Molly McCann. Molly McCann is ass. Yeah, it was decision. I'm not going to just trust her to walk in and just start finishing bitches just because she finished Molly McCann. I'm definitely not going to pick her to start finishing Loma Luke Boone. I think Loma Luke Boone has a significant advantage on the feet here, and her grappling's been improving as well. She's been winning by submission sometimes, winning by grappling, which I favor. And I honestly think that Alexia Thainara, she's young, she's a good grappler, but I think Loma has good defensive grappling. I don't know if she's ever been subbed in the UFC herself. I think she's able to win in the striking and kind of mitigate the grappling to some degree. I think Loma's pretty underrated as far as women go. There was a time she was pretty highly touted. Everybody talked about her like some marauder, but she's for real pretty good. She kicks pretty hard. She's a pretty good fighter. She's the only Thai fighter, I'm pretty sure, in the UFC currently. Now there's a lot of fighters from Thailand. Thailand's a fighting country, and she's the only one in the UFC. But I'm going to pick her. I'm going to pick Loma Luke Boone to just be better in the striking and have improved her grappling to a degree where she can stop some of Thainara's takedowns and keep it on the feet. Get into the clinch, use her knees, elbows, stuff like that. Just whatever she can do to prevent that shit from happening to her. I'm going to go Luke Boone. Decision.
Sorry. Woman's fight. Got fucking bored of it already. I'm gonna go with Lek Boom by decision. I think she's gonna get it done. Not really else to say.
Women's fight, often more competitive than most. Thainara, coming off the submission win against Molly McCann in her UFC debut, and Molly McCann's a decent striker, but her grappling has always been a big weakness in her game, so I'm not really surprised by Thainara to expose that. This is a close fight. Loma has more UFC experience, and she's often been a pretty moderate to massive favorite in the majority of her fights. I think people are not really happy with Loma because of her last fight against Estela Nunes. It was very close, and on paper, Thainara is clearly better than Estela Nunes, and I can understand why she's favored in this matchup coming off a very good win. But I'm actually going to side with Alex and Mike. This is going to be an underdog pick on the card. I think Thainara's not bad, but I feel like if she's not decisively winning the striking exchanges, I feel like Loma could compete in a lot of areas of the fight, in the clinch, in the grappling, and be able to match the output as well. And the size is always going to be a factor in Loma fights. She's like 5'1" with under 67 reach, but she finds a way to make it competitive. She has good footwork, and being one of the only, if not the only, Thai fighter on the roster, I think speaks volumes, especially when we know how prolific Thailand is in combat sports. So I'm going to go with the upset here. I think Thailand beats Brazil in this one. I just think Thainara would have not done enough to win a close decision fight. I think I might go with another split decision win here for Loma Lupi and Boomy. I think I'm going to go with that. Where she's able to keep up in the strike count, keep up with the takedown attempts, and just outwork Thainara, pretty much. So I'm going to go to Loma, a split decision win in an upset.
Moving on to our next fight of the card, which is not women. Navajo Sterling versus Rodolfo Bellato. I'm going to go Navajo Sterling. Early in his first two fights in the UFC, I kind of picked him to destroy them, and he took him to a decision both times. So history would tell you to pick a Navajo by decision this time, since it's probably the best opponent that he's faced up until this point, but I'm not going to. I'm going to go Navajo KO again. I'm going to keep picking Navajo by KO till he wins by KO. But no, for real, I do think he actually wins by KO this time. I think, to some degree, you do watch some of these fighters when they just get into the UFC that are really green, kind of decisionate. Like Ian Gary comes to mind, like right when he's coming to decision, he's taking these bums to decision. Like the Darian Weeks and Gabe Green and these fucking bums that all by, like, all standards, he should KO them. Like, he should head kick them. Done. Because they're bums. But Navajo's kind of, like, decisionating with them. I think that at some point that stops, though, and he starts getting these KOs. And I think Bellato's chinny. He's got an Easter Island head with no defense. He just kind of sits up there and just walks towards you like a fucking robot. Just, you know what I mean? Fucking hands low as fuck, head high up as hell. Like he's there to be chin. Paul Craig was getting the better of him on the striking. I do think Navajo is going to be able to, like, get this robotic fucking defense. Like, he's not that dumb. Like, he's going to be able to know what comes, like, and how to counter this. Like, when your arms are this far from your head, like a fucking, like, that game with the robots, like the little plastic things? Like, that guy can't be in the UFC. I'm sorry. Like, Navajo, please do us a favor. Knock this bum out. I don't know how he's here in the first place. He's a Brenson Ribeiro victim, I'm pretty sure. Get him out. Just get him out. Like, let him leave. Or maybe he was the guy that lost to Vitor Petrino. But regardless, let him leave. He's shit. I'm tired of seeing him here. Eeyore Potieria beat his ass. Like, I'm just ready for him to get his ass beat again and then get him out. But yeah, I'm waiting for a Navajo KO. This guy has no defense and he's chinny. So this is, once again, and I think he'll bring the fight. So maybe Navajo sees this as a step up in competition, will try to get a KO or try to take it a little bit more seriously. But yeah, Navajo KO. I'm going to just say he KOs him in the first because fuck Adolfo Bellato.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm watching the game. I got Navajo Sterling. I think he's got this. I'm not gonna pick against him. I like Navajo out of anybody in those DKB fruitcakes. Very good striker. I know he's been going to decisions a lot, but I do think he is actually going to get a KO here. Like, this is a great opportunity. This dude's chinny, like Alex said, and not that good. Not that good. I think we can get this done. I shouldn't say we. My bad. I'm still watching football here. I got him by KO. Navajo Sterling. Second or third.
Yeah, I think this is a clean sweep here. Navajo Sterling, 2 fights in the UFC, 2 decisions. But, I look at the 2 opponents, and I do reckon they are... I can't believe I'm saying this, but yeah, I think they're either... Yeah, they're just better fighters than Rodolfo Bellato. I think Rodolfo Bellato's record is very fucking misleading. He's 12-2-1. The way he fights, the defense isn't there. He is very hittable, and even in fights where, like, he decisively, like, is winning, he finds a way to, like, make it close still, and he just takes hits, bro. He takes hits. I think Navajo Sterling, the gap in striking technicality is immense in this fight. Ivan Urslan and Tuco Tacos were the 2 guys that took Navajo Sterling to a decision. Tuco Tacos really didn't engage. He was on the back foot the entirety of that fight. He was just content losing a decision. And Ivan Urslan, I reckon, is a way more formidable striker on the feet than Rodolfo Bellato, and we'll see him later on in the card. But I think Mike and Alex said it best. I think this is a prime opportunity in Australia for Navajo Sterling to get that knockout in the UFC, his first knockout in the UFC. Rodolfo Bellato's defense is bad. He gets hit in every fucking fight. Counters, leading forward. I could see a multitude of ways of Navajo getting this knockout. I will say Bellato could take a punch. He only has lost by knockout twice. It was, I believe, to Ihor Peteria. What? Wait, did Ihor knock him out? Peteria? Or did he win a decision?
He TKO'd him.
Yeah, he did TKO him, yeah. Yeah, Ihor looked really good in that fight. And Vitor Petrino. Maybe Navajo doesn't have the pure power of a Petrino or the speed of an Ihor Peteria. But I'd like to say that Navajo Sterling's technicality is going to lead to a counter shot. I'll go second round TKO. I think Navajo drops him bad round 1, but Rodolfo just Easter Islands his way to the corner after round 1. He's just like, ugh. I got concussed, but I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna make it out. I'll be all right. And then in the second round, I think Navajo just pours it on and leads to a second round TKO in Australia for his first UFC KO. Navajo Sterling second round TKO, clean sweep.
To our next fight.
Fucking touchdown by fucking
Jameer.
Jameer touchdown.
Gibby.
yeah.
Jameer touchdown.
Yeah.
We were locking him up a little bit, but St. Brown was getting fucking catches.
Nice.
That's good for me in every which way there is
Did
to be good.
Jameson Williams touch the ball at all on that drive? No.
No, just St. Brown and Jameer.
I need that for my other league. I need Jammo in the other league.
I just want my rate, bro.
Let's keep it moving. Clean sweep though, not
Yeah.
But moving on to our next fight, heavyweight fight between Louis Sutherland versus Justin Tafa. Another one of the debuting guys, another debuting heavyweight. One of the few Scottish guys, as Paul Craig dies, another Scottish man is born. So we got, we're just replacing a Scottish guy with another Scottish guy. I am going to pick Sutherland to win. From what I've seen, he actually looks pretty good. You look at him and kind of look at his build and you think, like, yeah, he's going to be a grappler. And he does grapple. He does grapple pretty often, and he is good at grappling when he does it. But he's honestly got some really good hands. I honestly think he might even be the better striker than Justin Tafa in this fight. He has good hands. His boxing looks good from what I've seen. And he's the guy that will grapple in this fight. And I think at that point, like, you just kind of have to pick him to win. And if Tafa happens to hit him first, whatever. But he hasn't been KO'd. I have seen videos of him getting dropped, so I know he's got a relatively good chin if you can, take a shot at heavyweight and keep going for a decision rather than just getting KO'd. But yeah, I'm going to go him. I think I'm going to trust him to mix in the grappling, and even if he doesn't, I can see him winning a striking battle. I'm going to go Sutherland TKO in round 1. I'm going to go first round ground and pound TKO.
I'll take off.
Oh my!
Oh, Mike can go.
My bad.
You're good. You're good.
I'm still trying to wait for the game. I am watching the game. My bad. I'm gonna go with the Scotsman. I don't like Justin Tafa. I think he's shit. He's fat, old, and retarded. Well, he's not old. He's 31, but might as well be. You're fucking ass, dog. You fight like my grandpa. You need to get packed up for good. I'm gonna go with the Scotsman. 10-3. Doesn't look that bad, and good reach. I'm gonna let my nuts hang on this one because I see that he's a underdog here. So yeah, I got the Scotsman by first or second round KO.
Yeah, I think we're gonna make it a clean sweep. Yeah, Alex said it best, man. It wasn't just Paul Craig that retired. My boy Josh Taylor in boxing, the Scotsman, also retired. And it appears that Chris Duncan and hopefully Louis Sutherland can take the mantle for the next Scotsman in combat sports. The Tafa brothers, man, I'm very critical of them. I think they are kind of just just powerful. I think if you could get away from their power hand, I feel like there's a lot of ways you could beat them via grappling or even striking. And
oh my God, yeah, Mark Andrews just caught a pass, y'all. My bad. I had to announce that to the world. Mark Andrews just caught a pass, a very good pass. Just my bad.
You're good.
My bad.
Yeah, so like, I think the Tafa brothers are kind of just power. If you can get past the power, if you can move around it, if you can get them on their back, I mean, the power isn't just that's all they seem to have. I'm gonna go with Sutherland here. On the regional scene, he looked promising. I think he was the champion of whatever regional promotion he hailed from, And I just think I see a bit of a well-rounded fighter. I feel like I see a guy that can take a punch, can give a punch, can get a takedown, can threaten submissions, can threaten ground and pound. I feel like he checks a lot of boxes in what you're looking for in a debutant. And he's no spring chicken. He's over the age of 30. But in heavyweight, that's not old at all. I feel like he's in the prime of his career, and he's coming to the UFC at the right time, and he's getting a great matchup in a hostile territory. I feel like this is one of my more confident underdog picks of the card. Him and Cam Rouston are my favorite dogs in the card. I think, I just think he's the better fighter. I think he has more ways to win this fight. I could see a decision. I could see a submission. I could even see a knockout. I'll go with a second round ground and pound TKO. I felt like I was going to sneeze for the last minute. I feel like he'll be able to get the takedowns in round one. He'll be able to compete in the boxing exchanges, maybe even get clipped a little bit, but keep it rolling, keep it moving. And he'll be able to get a takedown, and he'll gain confidence off knowing I got the first takedown. This guy is not easy to handle at all. As soon as I get on top of him, he ain't getting back up. I don't mind honestly, the more I think about it, I don't mind a first round ground and pound TKO. I just feel like Sutherland, when he gets a hold of Tafa, he is not getting back up. I feel like I don't trust the Tafa brothers grappling at all. So I'm going to change it. I'll be bold. I think he stamps the debut in a really good way. I think he's going to get a first round ground and pound TKO where the second he gets that first takedown, he advances position pretty quickly for a heavyweight, and he's in mount, and by the time Tafa realizes he's fucked, it'll be too late. I want to go to ground and pound TKO where Sutherland just rains down pouring punches and elbows.
Moving on to our next fight of the card. A pretty good fight as well between lightweights Tom Nolan and...
Caught another pass. Oh my god.
Well, he might be worth putting in fantasy.
But no, let's not get too hasty, Alex. Come on now.
Shit, I don't have any better tight ends. But try not to make any more interruptions that.
If he makes another pass, I'll stop.
Yeah, I got him, so I'm going to be able to see on Sleeper later how well he does. But yeah, hopefully he fucking starts catching passes again. That'd be nice.
All right. My bad.
But yeah, moving on to our next fight. Pretty good fight between two lightweights. Tom Nolan versus Charlie Campbell. This is honestly one of the fights I'm looking forward to most on the fight card outside of the main event. I'm going to have to go Charlie Campbell here. I'm not impressed with Tom Nolan with what I've seen. Neither one of them really have great wins in the UFC. Not Charlie Campbell nor Tom Nolan. So you kind of have to just go with what you've seen. And the eye test, I think Charlie Campbell has a way better boxing. I don't like that Tom Nolan is as rangy as he is, as tall as he is, and doesn't use it. To me, that screams Johnny Walker. He's just waiting to be KO'd. That doesn't work for anybody. If you're gifted with the intangibles of being tall and long, you got to use it. And I don't really like the way Tom Nolan uses it. I think he's more like a bruiser scrapper. He's, getting bloody by Alex Reyes and shit like that. Or I forgot who cut him open. It might have been Slava or Alex Reyes. But getting KO'd by Carlos Mota or Nicholas Mota or whatever he is isn't a good look. I don't like that at all. You got to at least make it a tough fight. Nicholas Mota did look good against Sadikov, but regardless, don't go down like that, man. I didn't like the way he debuted, and ever since, he hasn't really caught my eye either. I think you should smoke Alex Reyes. I think you should grapple better than you did against Slava. I think Slava's there to be destroyed on the ground, and you're barely able to take him down. Nothing I've seen Tom Nolan do impresses me. Whereas, as corny as I think Charlie Campbell is, as annoying as a human being as I think his mic skills make him sound, I like his boxing. I like his hands, and I value his loss more than I value the loss of Tom Nolan. Tom Nolan gets murdered by Nicholas Mota in a round, whereas what's his name? Fucking the guy I'm picking, that I'm drawing a blank on his name all of a sudden.
Charlie Campbell.
Yes. Losing to Chris Duncan isn't anywhere near as bad. Getting Flute KO'd on the Contender Series, kind of like a Czech Congo Pat Perry way, I can forgive that a lot easier. Chris Duncan's pretty good, and you low-key almost had Chris Duncan finished before he KO'd you, so I don't mind it. Charlie Campbell was winning the fight up until he lost it against Chris Duncan, and he's looked good in the UFC so far, even though it's bums. Whereas I don't think Tom Nolan's looked good in the UFC. I liked his contender fight. I think he got a KO with the knee, but I haven't seen that same finishing potential. I haven't seen him use his intangibles correctly. He wants to run into the pocket with everybody he fights. And if he runs into the pocket with Charlie Campbell, I think he's going to get boxed up. So I'm going to go pick Charlie Campbell. I think he could get a finish or maybe just outbox him to a decision. But I'm going to say Tom Nolan makes it a scrap. Even though he doesn't use his intangibles, he makes it a scrap. And there's moments where he drops Campbell with knees and elbows. And I think this fight is fight of the night. And I think Charlie Campbell will win a hard-fought decision at the end of it. Maybe split. But I think he's going to outbox him the majority of the fight. But Nolan will have moments, and that will be enough. I think he'll knock down Campbell as well. So I think that will be enough to get him rounds and maybe even a split decision in his favor. But I'm going to say split decision for Charlie Campbell. Maybe
here we go. I could go three ways. I can rant about how fucking corny Charlie Campbell is, or I could just be a professional. You know what? I'm going to do a little both here. Charlie Campbell's a fucking cornball. He rarely fights right now. I don't know. He's just not really active for me to pick him. I'm gonna go with Tom Nolan here. I think him being in Australia is gonna give him the crowd favorite. Nicholas Mota, I get it. Horrible to lose to. But I just saw Nicholas Mota just go toe to toe with Nazim Sadikov. Or I don't know if I said it correctly, but that he almost won that fight, too. He almost won that fight. If he had a better gas tank and if it wasn't Nicholas Mota, that would have been a better thing. Like, if Nicholas Mota wasn't fucking Nicholas Mota, he would have won. If he actually had decent cardio. But I get it. Nicholas Mota, not a good loss in your bingo card, but I honestly don't mind it, especially after what I saw from Mota in his last fight. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Tom Nolan here. I think he's gonna get done by decision of 29-28. I do think it is gonna be a scrap, though. This is for sure gonna be a good fight.
I think Alex pretty much has said a lot of the sentiments of the fight, and I agree with Alex and Mike. I do think this fight does go the distance. But I'm going to go with Tom Nolan. I see a lot more raw potential. I see a lot more of a... Yeah, just see more of the potential of a better career in Tom Nolan. 25 years old, only one loss in his career. Charlie Campbell, only 2 losses in his career, not that much crazier. And his loss, I do agree with Alex, is better in the UFC level than Tom Nolan's. But looking back at it, it was his UFC debut. And I already said earlier on this card, I used to not believe in the UFC jitters thing, but it's a real thing. So I venture to say he was a bit of a deer in headlights in the Nicholas Mota fight, and that just happened to be Mota's day, and he was able to crack him. I don't think Charlie Campbell is as explosive as Nicholas Mota. Hot take. I think he may be the better boxer from a technical aspect, but in terms of pure power and pure explosiveness and danger, I don't think Charlie Campbell is that crazy of a puncher. And I do agree also with Alex's sentiment of Tom Nolan not really capitalizing on his physical intangibles in the lightweight division. He's 6'3" with 73 reach, long legs. He should fight longer. He should fight bigger in the cage. I think we're going to see that in this fight. I think we're going to see improvements in his range management. I think we're going to see his kicking game be more versatile. I want to see him pump the jab more, use his reach, really dictate the tempo and the range of the fight. And I think it's going to go exactly to Alex's prediction, just the other way. I think this will be a split decision win for Tom Nolan, where he gets the benefit of the doubt hailing from Australia, and he's able to secure the fight via like a knockdown, where the rounds are super close, but we're going to look back at that knockdown and we're going to value that more highly than the activity potentially of Charlie Campbell. I just think the opportunity for a more special fighter is Tom Nolan between the two of these guys. Charlie Campbell, the inactivity as well, I do think is a factor. Since losing his UFC debut, Tom Nolan's on a 3-fight win streak at the UFC level. I think in Australia he'd be motivated to keep it moving, keep it rolling, and he'll move the win streak to 4. I'm going to go with a Tom Nolan split decision win where a knockdown is the difference of the fight.
Oh yeah. Did my pick, my bad.
Well, it's all right. You can say it now before we start.
I thought I already did.
You did.
Oh, and he scored one?
He went Tom Nolan. Decision, I believe.
Yeah.
Oh. I thought you were talking about Mark Andrews.
No. We just locked you. We just locked y'all niggas up on offense. On defense. They're trying to fucking feed Jahmyr Gibbs here.
As they should. That's what I need. And I need the Ravens defense to suck if I'm going to.
They're looking a little bit. It was 4th and 19.
I need Jamison Williams to get some touches from my other league.
You got any touches?
Yeah, I'm
I think it's St. Brown so far. It's been St. Brown and Jahmyr.
Yeah.
And fucking Off did a horrible IQ move. He tried to pass. He tried to do a mesh spot on for what's his name, for Jahmyr. Jahmyr almost got fucking tackled by his own guy. Yeah, he almost got knocked back by his own dude.
What's our next fight? Next fight.
My bad if I'm acting like a casual, yo. I'm just very in the game.
Moving on to our next fight. The welterweight fight between Jake Matthews and Neil Magny. This is another one of the better fights on the card. I'm looking forward to this one. I am going to have to pick Jake Matthews. I don't think he's one of these young, inexperienced prospects where Neil Magny just out-unks him. You know, Jake Matthews has been around, and he's also a former lightweight, lighter man skill. But, he's been experienced. He's been around the block in his own right. And he's a lot younger than Neil Magny is. He's taken some damage, but not nearly as much as Neil Magny. And I think he's 31, 32. I don't think Jake Matthews is by any means very old. I think he's kind of right in his prime, 31. And Neil Magny's old, withered. Jake Matthews' grappling's the best it's ever been. He just had a first-round rear naked choke where he just scaled the back of Chidi Njokuani and subbed him, which I thought was very impressive. I think that kind of rules out the ability for him to get Mike Malletted. Mike Mallet had good grappling, but he was never vetted. He was never really he wasn't experienced. He didn't get challenged like the same way Jake Matthews has been challenged across his career. But I definitely have to go Jake Matthews having the better striking. And I think he's just got a lot better survivability and experience than these guys that are losing to Magny. That's gonna just make me have to pick him. I think whether it's on the feet or the ground, I think honestly he has the advantage at this point. Even in the grappling, I think Magny's too weak, too old. I think he gets out-grappled and outstruck by Matthews. Decision or finish, I'm not sure. I want to go finish. I'm going to go ground and pound TKO for Jake Matthews, where he drops elbows on him. I'm going to say second round, ground and pound TKO, Jake Matthews. Since he won a glaze, and is he going to fight like one?
Yeah, good fight. It's a hit or miss fight. We could either see Neil Magny get his ass whooped like we've normally done, or we just see him just fraud checking the fuck out of what's his face. You could see him fraud checking the fuck out of Jake Matthews. Damn. 4th and 3. Why are we punting? Anyways, I got Jake Matthews. Jake Matthews has got. I think he's gonna get the job done here. I'm not really gonna pick Neil Magny. I know he won, and I picked against him, but I don't see Neil Magny going 2 for 2 here in 2025. Come on now.
Yeah, I think we're going to make it a clean sweep. I agree 100% with Alex's sentiment on Neil Magny. If you look at his career, it really does seem like his wins are truly against the extremes of the spectrum. They're either against these young guys who are green and don't have the experience and they get out-unked, out-veteran savvied by Neil Magny, or he fights these old guys who are so washed that, like, even though they know how to stop his game, they can't because they're older and less athletic than him. Even though he is old, he still is a physical presence in the welterweight division, being 6'3", 80-inch reach, clinch-heavy game, good cardio, good endurance, able to play the long point fighting game. He's able to just kind of extend fights, and he's really good at that. Jake Matthews, a lot of fights in the UFC level, 31 years old, entering his athletic prime. He's a superior boxer in this matchup. He knows how to throw the calf kick. I could see him having legit success with calf kicks at the end of his combinations. And the only real way I see Magny, even trying to implement his game is do what he always does, kind of pressure you up against the fence and then just kind of ride you from a clinch aspect. I feel like if Matthews avoids that, it's his world, grappling or striking, really. If he gets on top of Magny, I could see good top control, good positions to land strikes, maybe even submission attempts. But I think in the striking, if he gets past the reach, he could have a field day with combinations. I'm torn between a finish and a dominant decision because Magny has been getting finished lately, but it's against like Michael Morales and Carlos Pratas, like very powerful punchers in the welterweight division. But Matthews will look great, man. I think I'll go with it's either a TKO or a decision for me. I feel like he can TKO Magny, but I feel like Magny's going to just do enough to survive and make it to the bell. Dominant decision masterclass from Jake Matthews in every facet of MMA. Takedowns if he feels like it. Boxing, looks crispy. Calf kicks, destroying the legs of Magny. Just absolute field day, you name it. But Magny will be tough enough to make it past 15 minutes, I guess. But I could see a TKO. Masterclass decision, Jake Matthews.
Moving on to our next fight, our feature fight, which our co-main and our feature fight aren't nearly as good as some of the fights we already talked about in the last couple ones. But Jimmy Crute versus Ivan Arslan. Well, it's a tough one. They're both not very good. But I'm going to have to go Jimmy Crute. He's younger. He's got more improvements to make. I picked him to beat, I picked Marcin Prachnio to beat him, and he proved me wrong. And I think Prachnio is a lot better fighter than Ivan Arslan. So I'm going to have to go Crute here. I think his grappling is the X factor. I do think Arslan's probably the better striker. But I think he hasn't won a fight in his UFC career yet, Arslan. So I'm gonna pick Jimmy Crute. I think he's able to get it. I think they want him to win. It's in Australia. Arslan's tough luck for him because he might get cut after this. He's like one of the only Croatians. I think he's Croatian. Yeah. But yeah, a close fight with Kudalaba. Didn't get murdered by Navajo Sterling. Maybe he has a chance, but I gotta go Jimmy Crute. Just going to the grappling and winning that way. So yeah. That's that. I'm going to say decision. 29-28. Maybe he wins around.
Oh my gosh, illegal formation.
Mike, I think you're out.
Oh, my bad. Still watching the game.
They got.
Were we on Jimmy Crute? Wait, what?
They got a first down.
Yeah, Jimmy Crute. Jimmy Crute.
I got Jimmy Crute. I think Jimmy's not going to lose in Australia, and I don't know. Every time when he plays in Australia, it's automatically he just turns into a better fighter. I mean, he's still shit, but he ends up being somewhat good, I guess. Yeah, I got Jimmy Crute, but I could see KO, but I'm gonna go with decision.
Tough fight in the light heavyweight division in our feature fight in Australia. I think this is your classic striker versus grappler matchup in this one. Jimmy Crute on paper has the superior grappling edge in the jiu-jitsu and the wrestling aspects of this fight, and Ivan Arslan on paper is the far better striker. Don't really know what to make of this. I picked Jimmy Crute in his last fight against Marcin Prachnio, but I really wasn't wowed. Honestly, I wasn't. And Ivan Arslan, I want to say he lost like a split decision to Ion Cutelaba in his UFC debut, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just double check that to see if it was a split. It was a split decision loss in the UFC, and then he lost the decision to Navajo Sterling. I think Ion Cutelaba is a better wrestler than Jimmy Crute, and I know Navajo Sterling's a better striker than Jimmy Crute. So I feel like he's kind of fought a well-rounded guy in his debut, lost a close decision, and he fought a good striker, lost a decision. I'm going with Ivan Arslan in the upset in this one. I really feel like if Jimmy Crute cannot get takedowns, he is a sitting duck in this fight. I think Ivan Arslan can light him up in the striking exchanges. On the feet, calf kicks, leg kicks, you name it. I think he's a better boxer. I think he's got better kicks. I really do feel like this is a very black and white fight. If Jimmy Crute doesn't get the takedown, he's a sitting duck. If Jimmy Crute does get the takedown, he should be able to get the dominant positions and advance. But I rate going to a close fight with Cutelaba, who, isn't a world beater in his own right at all. But I view Cutelaba definitely as a better wrestler than Jimmy Crute. I wasn't impressed in the Rodolfo Bellato fight. Like, this is a fight where he's 10-8ing, I think, Bellato in the first round, Jimmy Crute. He is fucking Bellato up, and he finds a way to turn that into a draw. I don't like that. It's very discouraging for me, because I have to think Ivan Arslan's smarter than Bellato. Maybe not a better fighter, but smarter. I think this will be a close fight. Very close fight. I'm going to go with a split decision win for Ivan Arslan, where he lands the more impactful shots. He does damage with leg kicks. The takedowns are probably easy in the first round, but they get harder in the second and the third, and Arslan would have done enough damaging and bigger moments throughout the fight to secure the decision win. Jimmy Crute don't really got a record to salvage anyways, and I think we have a surplus of Australians in MMA. I don't think we have too many Croatians, so I'm going to go with an Ivan Arslan decision win where his kickboxing is graded higher than Jimmy Crute's grappling attempts. Good fight.
Moving to another shitty fight, or co-main event. Well, maybe not shitty, but definitely not worthy of the co-main event. Jack Jenkins versus Ramon Taveras. Shocker. I'm going for Ramon Taveras in this fight, actually. I'm going to pick him to beat Jack Jenkins.
Wow.
Lighter man's skill. But, for real, I think Jack Jenkins is overrated. And I think we've kind of seen that time and time again, that he is overrated. He can be submitted. He can be out-grappled. And I honestly think it's about time for him to get outboxed. I think Ramon Taveras has got the significantly better hands. I don't think he's... Jack Jenkins has got really good leg kicks. I could see him going to that here. But I honestly think he's deficient in the boxing, and I think Ramon Taveras could prove that. I think he's got the significantly better boxing, and coming back up from bantamweight, I think he can find some success here at featherweight. This is a bantamweight coming up to featherweight against a featherweight who I don't honestly really see as all that. I don't think Jack Jenkins is very good. I think his advantage here is kicks. And I think the boxing of Ramon Taveras is going to be better than Jack Jenkins' kicking game will be. Even as good as his leg kicks are, I don't see him crippling Ramon Taveras. Everybody knows when you fight Jack Jenkins, that's the one thing you got to watch out for. And if you can watch out for his leg kicks, you're going to be able to outbox him, I think. And, we've been seeing over and over that he's not very good grappler either. So maybe Ramon Taveras could do that. But I'm going to pick Ramon Taveras to get in the pocket, check the leg kicks, and move in with the hands and outbox Jack Jenkins. I might honestly even go by KO. Yeah, I'm going to go KO. Fuck it. I'm going to go Ramon Taveras by KO in the second round. Fuck it.
Oh, my bad. I'm gonna go with Jack Jenkins, mainly just because I don't like picking Ramon Taveras at all to win a fight. But it's not a bad underdog pick because it is a 50-50 fight. But I got Jack Jenkins. I think he's gonna get it done by. I could see a finish happening, but I'm gonna go with decision. I think we're gonna get a lot of decisions this card.
Yeah, I have a similar sentiment to Mike. I'm also going to go with Jack Jenkins in this one. I pick Ramon Taveras against Davey Grant. Not the best pick in the world, but I thought that was an opportunity for him to capitalize on his youth, his pressure, and there was a lot of instances in that fight where I was disappointed that he didn't pull the trigger. Maybe he'll prove me wrong in this fight, but I think Jack Jenkins, at least at a UFC level, he's only really losing to like Chepe Mariscal off a throw where he braced wrong and his arm got broke, and Gabriel Santos, who I think is a very good fighter in the featherweight division. As for Ramon Taveras, lighter man skill I definitely do here as a factor, but I actually like to think the featherweight division, truthfully, is one of, if not, in my humble opinion, probably the best striking division in the UFC. I feel. I could be wrong. It's a debate, but I just think the striking at 145 is really tough. You got guys like Yair Rodriguez. You got guys with boxing like Arnold Allen. You got, just in the terms of aspect of pure striking, boxing, kicking, and just in that particular element of martial arts, I think 145 is pretty good. Bantamweight speed is legit. Ramon Taveras actually has the reach advantage in this fight. That is big for him, having a 2-inch reach advantage in this type of matchup where they're primarily going to be on the feet. I could see Ramon having the advantage in the boxing. I could see Jack Jenkins having the advantage in the kicks. This will be a very close fight, and I do think this fight does go the distance. I'm going to go with a split decision win for Jack Jenkins, where super close fight. Ramon Taveras probably looks like throughout the entirety of the fight landed the bigger shots, but both these guys are about the same age, 31 years old. One's 10-3, one's 14-3. I think this is a razor close fight. I think this fight being Australia is the advantage that Jack Jenkins needs to keep moving. And like I said, at the UFC level, he's only losing to guys like Chepe, who I think is very durable, and Gabriel Santos, who I think is a very good featherweight as well. I'm going to go to Jack Jenkins' razor-thin split decision win, where his kicks, maybe even a couple takedown attempts, are valued higher than the more impactful shots of Ramon Taveras in the pocket. Good fight, though.
Moving on to our main event, the evening. Tough fight. I've been searching for my prediction for a while, but I think I finally found it. Unfortunately, I do believe I'm going to be going with Carlos Ulberg. I'm rooting for Reyes to get the title. Everybody feels bad after the Jones fight. Same. And then he went after, on that whole losing streak, and now he's finally on a win streak again. He's getting knockouts. But I just think it's too good to be true to some degree. Krylov fought like a retard. Jacoby kind of just backed up into the back of the cage. And, is that the only people? And Anthony Smith.
Yeah.
Anthony Smith.
Yeah.
The ball crawler up. You know what I mean? So
victim.
Yeah, fact. Yeah, I mean, who's a Johnny Walker victim? You know what I mean? There's levels to this shit. Like, he's grandfathered.
Yeah.
So, I like Dominic Reyes. I want him to win. I do think he's got a chance. I think for Reyes to win, he has to pretty much give Ulberg no respect. Fight like he did against Jones. Just walk him down. Nothing he can do can hurt you. But to be fair, that's not true, because Ulberg can hurt you. He's got a really good left hook that's easily disguised as well. He kind of throws it like a jab, but it whips it like a left hook. So I could see him catching Reyes with that. That is a very sneaky shot, but in general, I think if you can watch that and watch a couple of basic things, Ulberg isn't the most dangerous boxer by any means. You know, he isn't a knockout artist. I wouldn't go to call him by any means either. His game is, you know, sitting on the back foot and point fight. I do think he's got a deeper bag than Reyes. Reyes is kind of ABC striking. You know, before he kind of went on this the win streak, when he was on his losing streak, everybody was kind of saying like, "Oh, Reyes is ass." Like, he's got is a left hand and a left kick. And well, Reyes is pretty good. That is true. That's kind of all he throws. He doesn't really have a deep bag as much as he does just kind of throw that left straight and that left kick. I think Ulberg's got a deeper bag. He's got different strikes he throws. He's got variations of strikes he throws, like the sneaky left hook. I think overall he's the more layered, dynamic fighter. I think the wrestling is a wash in this fight. I don't think anybody has an advantage over the other when it comes to the grappling. I think Ulberg is just going to keep an higher output, whereas Reyes is going to be kind of I can see Reyes having moments, but I'm going to go by decision. Just touching up Reyes when Reyes is coming forward. I could see Reyes getting frustrated and kind of getting cracked and kind of sat back into his chair like, okay, I'm going to have to point fight for this guy for a little bit before I go on my next like assault. And I think Ulberg can just kind of make it boring. And even if it's not boring and it's close, you know, we're in Australia, so I think they'd give it to Ulberg. Reyes has got to get in the pocket and make it a slugfest, because if it is a slugfest, it's going to be the Kennedy fight all over again and live bet Reyes, if that happens. So if Reyes can drag him into that type of slugfest, he can win that for sure, and I'd favor him to do so. I think Ulberg's matured. He's one of these guys that I genuinely think doesn't care if the fight's boring. He'll do whatever it is to win. And I think, you know, a lot of the ways in the MMA, it's just the way it goes. Boring beats exciting when it comes to the UFC fights. So I'm going to go Ulberg. I'm going to say 49-46 decision. I could see Reyes making a last stand in the fifth or something like that. Or maybe a 48-47. But I'm going to go Ulberg, just pitter-pattering. Boring fight after a shit card. We're going to look forward to that fight, and I think it won't deliver. But I hope it does. But yeah, Ulberg decision.
Yeah, I got Ulberg here. I just think... Oh, what the fuck? Oh, my bad. Let's redo that. Good main event. Probably the best fight of the fight. Best fight of the night, of course. I got Ulberg. I want to go with Reyes, but something is telling me here that Ulberg's going to get the job done in hometown area. But you know, it is what it is, I guess. But I got Ulberg. I want Reyes to win though. If Reyes can try not to make it too close here, I could see him. I could see it. Look. Oh, my bad. I could see Reyes making a competitive fight. I could see him win. Reyes. I don't trust Ulberg's chin. I do think he's a bit chinny, but I don't know, man. Something's telling me Ulberg's just going to get the job done. But I wouldn't mind, if you are a gambler, I wouldn't mind putting at least $1 or two, or maybe $3, $4, or $5 on Reyes. Not a bad underdog here.
Main event of the evening. Probably one of, if not, my favorite light heavyweight of all time in the UFC. Dominic the Devastator Reyes, former title challenger, and now in the midst of a 3-fight win streak after going on entering his career like 13-0 against John Jones, then he loses, and then he goes on 3 more losses to make it a 4-fight losing streak, and then he snaps it and he's able to be on the 3-fight win streak. Here we are today in a hostile territory, going against Carlos Ulberg, a very capable, very solid contender in the light heavyweight division. This is a great fight. I do admit, on paper, there is much more adversity to be had for Dominic Reyes in this matchup in comparison to his 3-fight win streak. Anthony Smith, we all know who he is. We all know what type of fighter he is, no offense. Jacoby, former Glory kickboxer, good striker. He was able to get the knockout there. And Nikita Krylov, very questionable game plan. He came into the Dominic Reyes fight, just charged forward and kind of got caught with a straight left. I don't expect Ulberg to be nearly as easy of a matchup as those past 3 opponents for Dominic Reyes were. He is a far better athlete. He's far more calculated with his strikes, and he doesn't really overextend or put himself in a situation to get countered or to pay. He kind of just sits back, points fights, and counter strikes. Reyes, I do think, is going to need to push the pace in this fight. I think he's going to need to smother Carlos Ulberg, not give him any room to operate, take away the range, take away with the comfort that Ulberg has in being on the back foot. And something I would really like to see Dominic Reyes do is implement some wrestling. I really do feel as though if he can get top time on Ulberg, that he can make good work of it. Ulberg, I've never really seen in a position on his back in the UFC level. He's got like 86% takedown defense. He's really good as far as defending the takedowns. I just think that would be an interesting aspect of the game that Dominic can attack for Ulberg. You know, put him in a position he's just not used to being in. On paper, Ulberg is the better striker, but I do think Dominic Reyes is the more powerful fighter between the two of them. I think that you look at who Dominic Reyes loses to: John Jones as the champion, Jan Blachowicz for the vacant belt, Yuri Prohaska, a top 5 contender, former champion. The Ryan Spann loss is not a great look, but early on in the first round, hot take, I reckon Ryan Spann is more dangerous than Carlos Ulberg round 1. Hot take. Overall, in terms of a knockout threat, a submission threat, just being able to end a fight with 1 round, I do think Ryan Spann is more dangerous than Carlos Ulberg. Simply from the fact that he's more willing to take risks and chances in that first round. Ulberg doesn't really put himself in a position to get caught. He wants to be in full control of how the fight goes. And ever since he lost to Kennedy Nzechukwu, I think this statement is even more true. I feel like after that fight, he really was like, okay, I am not going to make a mistake they can capitalize. I'm not going to burn my gas tank out. I'm not going to put myself in a position to get countered. And ever since then, he's been content fighting the way he has. I look at his past opponents and I think, you know, Alonzo Menefield just charged forward. Jan Blachowicz is coming off double shoulder surgery. I'm not really terribly impressed with the win streak that Ulberg's on. Everybody's saying that Dominic's win streak isn't that impressive. Well, I'm not terribly impressed with Ulberg's. I know Blachowicz is a great name, but that's, to be frank, he's a shell of himself, of what he once was. But that being said, I'm going to go with Dominic Reyes in a close fight. You know, a lot of people feel as though that he can't get his hand raised, and a large part of that is the Jones fight, as we all know how that decision went. Ever since then, it's hard to see Dominic going the distance because he really doesn't for the most part. He gets knockouts, or I think the only decision lost in his career is the Jones fight. He doesn't really go the distance that often. He's a kill or be killed fighter. I think he is going to need to put himself in a position to take risks. I really do want to see him mix in a wrestling game plan. I feel like that would be something unexpected and that would surprise Ulberg. But we'll see Saturday night. I am biased, so take this pick with a grain of salt. But I'm going to go Dominic Reyes in a scrap where he's able to fluster Carlos Ulberg. He's able to weather the storm of Carlos Ulberg's leg kicks, close the distance slowly but surely, and get a late TKO win. I'm thinking round 5. I think this is going to be a back and forth fight where I could see Ulberg win the first round on points and leg kicks. Then I think The second round will be close, but Dominic will have threatened the takedown. He might not even get it, but he'll push up Ulberg against the fence, land some knees to the body, land some uppercuts and hooks off the clinch, just land some impactful shots, and he might even be down 2 rounds, and the judges might still give that round to Ulberg. But come round 3, we'll start to notice Ulberg's movement isn't as explosive. He's a little bit more lethargic in his entries and his exits out the pocket. And his hand speed looks a little like less faster than it did in the earlier rounds. Reyes will be getting closer and closer to closing the distance, and then he'll get the takedown in round 3. He'll make Ulberg work, and he would have won that round. Heading into the championship rounds, I think Ulberg will begin to feel the weight and the gravity of the fight. He'll start to feel the pressure, like, okay, it's 2-1. I'm up on the cards, but he's starting to come back, and now we're entering uncharted territory. I've never been here in my career. I've never been in the championship rounds in a main event. Reyes has. And Reyes will remember the Jones fight, and he will remember, I cannot make it close. They are going to rob me if they make this close. They already did it when I was undefeated. Why would they not do it when I have more than 1 loss on my record? And he'll push the pace, he'll push the tempo, and he will break Carlos Ulberg in round 5. I'm going with a Dominic Reyes 5th round TKO storybook. He will be next in line for the title shot. Upset in Perth. The Devastator kills Black Jag. 5th round TKO.
That's dream scenario, brother.
That is.
I hope.
That is dream. That is storybook. That is movie. That is Hollywood written. Let's see it.
Yeah. That's as good as it gets. I'd like to see it. Let's go. Dominic Reyes shit. Real Reyes hours.
Devastator season.
Yeah, what do you guys think will be fight of the night? My pick is Nolan Campbell. I think that'll be fight of the night.
I don't mind it. I can see it. I like that.
Performance of the night could go to let me have to look through it again.
The host should look like fucking. He should have a him moment.
Agreed.
He should have a field day on Bellato.
And maybe the winner of Perich Ellison, because that'll probably be a KO.
Yeah.
Maybe if Rouston gets a TKO.
Yeah, I can see that too.
Or Louis Sutherland.
Yeah. Those are my 2 dogs of the card I like a lot. I like Sutherland and I like Rouston.
Sutherland's a dog?
Pick 'em. Just about. Yeah, most of the dogs in this card that I picked, they're like not crazy payout outside of Reyes. Let me see who else I got. Let me see my dogs. Let me see Typology.
Dogs. This is from my dogs.
I got Reyes. He's like plus 200. I got Urslan. He's like plus 150. I got Sutherland plus 105 according to what's it called? Tapology. I think that'll drop. Loma 4. Rouston 5. Yeah, I got 5 dogs. I got Rouston, Sutherland, Reyes, Urslan, Crute, Ulberg.
How many Australians are you picking?
I'm counting the ones I'm going against right now. Thickness. 6. I'm picking against 6. I say Ulberg loses. I say Crute loses. I say Tafa loses. Mikolev loses. Thickness loses. Malarkey loses.
Malarkey. With a name like that, he's destined to lose every fight he's in.
Yeah, I'm like, even if you want to say he's the better striker, I don't mind it. I just think there's such a massive durability advantage for Bedoya in that fight. Massive.
This is very true.
I trust him to take on a sledgehammer way more than Malarkey right about now.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I don't think Malarkey should be in here.
Right.
Bedoya, maybe.
Yeah.
But Malarkey's...
Because at least with Bedoya, like, He's not as spent. His record isn't as taxed, and he's Peruvian. We don't have too many Peruvians, so we just we're going to potentially lose one with Claudio Puella soon, type shit. He fumbled that fight. He had that in the bag. He just needed not to get dropped in 30 seconds. That's all. Can't even try not to get drop challenge 30 seconds.
Can't do it.
No, I just have to. I have to get my hands down. I have to fucking do it. Fucking hilarious.
Yeah, let me just sit here and let me get your let you tee off on my body.
Yeah, I just arguably won 14 minutes and 30 seconds. These last 30 seconds don't matter. Who cares?
Go ahead and drop me.
Yeah. That's so funny.
But yeah, I do believe that'll be the end of our Wartime MMA podcast. Like, subscribe, comment, and we will see you next time. Peace.
Appreciate you guys for watching. I'll let y'all later.
Indeed.